Hello, back for the next edition of yet another tale. Wish to see how the story continues, don't you? Well, no worries. You'll find the story is right where you left it, as Talion and all those gathered around him begin to set in motion their plans. Okay, well, I suppose if getting out is our objective, Sayla said, looking about the group, then the only question is how to do it. Honestly, our group is too large. There are too many people, and too many weaknesses. If we all try to go together, we basically function as nothing but one big target. So, we'll divide into two groups, Group A and B, and set a destination, somewhere that we meet up along the way. Hopefully this'll give us a little bit of time for Mesotora to recover, and it'll keep Talion safe, as they won't be in the same group. What? No! Mesotora replied, curled over in the chair he sat in. I will not be separated from my son again. I have only just found him. I have yet to even have a single conversation, and you already want us to separate? I will hear none of it. Come on, Mesotora, be reasonable. Right now, we have two big, soft targets. We can't have both of them in the same group. I am not a soft target, Mesotora replied, looking angrily towards Salus. Listen, Salus replied. I understand that normally you are beyond capable of protecting yourself and all of that. In a head-to-head confrontation, I am unsure of whether I'd actually be able to beat you. But this is not a normal circumstance. I mean, seriously, Mesotora, look at yourself. You look like you've been through the ringer several times. At this point, I'm not even sure if you could take your own son. Believe it or not, that kid's got spunk. Probably gets it from you. But, Mesotora, until your strength returns, you're a weakness, a liability. You're more hazardous to him than good. I know you're used to being, well, the head honcho, Mr. Untouchable. But right now, you are vulnerable, extremely so. If the enemies learn about that, then they'll begin to amass. Do you have any idea how many people have a hit out on you? How many people would pay vast fortunes to claim the head of Mesotora, the Hellfire Dragon? The boost to their reputation would be enormous, and the payment even larger. You may be a good guy, Mesotora, but in being a good guy, you gained a lot of enemies. Very bad people who want you very dead. And in your current state, it only makes things easy for them. Having you and your son in the same group would be tantamount to a jackpot. Dividing you two into two separate groups is fundamentally just the better option. That way, even if they find out about your weakened state, they have to make a choice between which they think is more valuable or an easier target. Go after you in your weakened state, or target your son, as he's young and hasn't fully developed. This'll also divide their numbers. Looking for two needles in the haystack is harder than just looking for one. Silas, I understand. Do not think I am a fool. But you have to realize what you're asking me to do. How long I have waited for this. Just to see him for a brief instant. And then you expect me to just wave him goodbye, as if it were nothing. I know it's not nothing, Mesotora, Salus replied. But strategically, it's the best option. We separate into two fundamental groups, each taking on equal strength and equal weakness. One group will consist of myself, either you or your son Talion. along with one of the human casters and one of the children, and the other will consist of much the same. Hamilton will be the lead, the powerhouse for the group. He'll have with him one of the casters, along with you and one of the children. That is, if he's not the one with Talion. Honestly, I'm not sure which alignment would be better. Yes, I understand. How long do you think we can stay here safely? What? What do you mean? Salus replied, looking at Mesotora with a cocked eyebrow. I mean, how long do you think we can stay here safely before they grow interested in marching in? Oh, come on. Don't think you're gonna slip one by me. You're trying to hold things over because you want to at least try to spend some time with your son. But you have to understand, sticking around is a risk. The sooner we leave, the better, Salus said, looking over to Mesotora, who stared down at the floor with a focused and sorrowful expression. Okay, but one night. Give me one night, Salus. Can you do that for me? Salus exhaled deeply, sighing and rubbing his forehead. Damn it all. Fine. One night. Tomorrow morning, we're leaving. This is an exceptionally dangerous proposition. The extra time will only allow them to communicate and plan. I'm putting us at a disadvantage to do this, but I also understand how important this is to you. One night to spend with your son before we have to separate. Wait! Rico no wanna separate! Rico exclaimed, stepping forward with an angry expression. Rico belongs with Master. Talion. She no wanna go. Not you too, Rico. I understand that Talion is your food supply, but you're gonna have to go without for a little while. It won't be permanent. It's just a little separation for a little while. You can sustain that long without feeding. But Master Talion is Rico's friend. Her master. Rico refuses, she shouted, clenching her fists as she stared up at Salus angrily. Salus? Who is this? Eco? Don't tell me that... Yeah, Mesotora. This Eco is named Rico. She's already gone through the process of bonding with Talion. Effectively, she's his servant. You have to be kidding me. An Eco? They most definitely don't have the power to handle this situation. It was bad enough when I thought that we had to deal with the weakness of some human beings. But an Eco, and not even a fully developed one, a larva. But Eco are extremely loyal. Once they bond with a master, their loyalty to them is absolute. They will do whatever they are told. I suppose let her have her way. It's not as if it really matters. Allow her to stay with Talion. It will not affect the overall group power ratings. Come on, Mesotora, Salus replied. Once again, this misbalances the weak spots. The reason that the kids were supposed to be divided is because they're weak spots. Easy targets, especially Rico. Look, Salus, sometimes you have to take a hit. I can't stay with my son as I wish to, and so you're going to need to take a hit as well. Rico and Talion can travel together. I swear you are frustrating to deal with, Salus replied, crossing his arms. Fine, Rico and Talion get to stay together. Now the question is, where the hell are we going? You said we're going to meet up with your father in the bestial realm. First question, how do we get there? Second question, is your father going to kill us? Honestly, I've heard stories about the guy. They don't exactly paint an inviting picture. Oh, don't misunderstand. My father is a crotchety, easily disgruntled old bastard. But as long as you are with me, I am sure that you will be safe, which is why we need to meet up before we pass through to the bestial realm. If you approach him without me, there's a high likelihood that you'll be destroyed, with your only hope being that he's sharp enough to pick up on the fact that Talion is his grandson, which is not outside of possibility. However, you do have to survive that long, and given my father's strength, that will be a difficult challenge. As far as our meeting location, a great distance from here, there is an extension to the mountain range. There, on the most eastern side of the mountain, there is a cavern entrance. Within the cavern, there is a tear, a fracture that will take us to the bestial realm. It will take someone with experience in magic to open it. But, as we have Hamilton with us, I don't surmise that will be a problem. Will it, Hamilton? Absolutely not. I assure you, I am quite capable of opening a simple tear into the bestial realm. So long as it exists, I can widen it however much we need and sustain it for our passage. Though, if we're doing it in a hurry, do not expect a smooth ride. Oh man, Hamilton's new accomplice said, placing both her hands on her face. What have I gotten myself into? I don't want to go to the bestial realm. Settle yourself. I assure you that I'll be there to watch your back. Same as always, Hamilton said, looking over to her, placing his hand on his shoulder and giving her a comforting smile. Thanks, Hamilton, she said, as once more the feeling came over her that Hamilton was being a bit more supportive than he normally would be. In her mind, the question that rang was whether it was Hamilton normally, or whether this was the effect of the deal that they cut with the hag. And this concerned her greatly. The longer she spent with Hamilton there, the more she noticed the difference, how much kinder Hamilton was to her. Most people probably wouldn't notice, simply believing that they were friends. But as she had only just met him a short time ago, she was all too aware of the change. It was clear that Hamilton's feelings for her were stronger than they were to begin with. He seemed to care about her. He made no outward declarations of love or eternal devotion, but time and time again she continued to find that he would take interest in her well-being, her mental state, comfort her if she needed it, reassure her that everything would be all right. Yeah, I guess I really don't have a choice about it, as long as you'll watch my back, right? She said, looking over to Hamilton with a concerned expression, for more than one reason. Well, if we're going to be splitting up, then I don't believe that Rico and Talion should travel in the same group as Hamilton. What? Hamilton replied, looking over, as Melody, Talion's mother, stood up. Frankly, I don't trust him. I assure you, I would never allow anything to happen to the prince. It's not just the prince I'm worried about. You're not exactly friendly, and your negative opinions about the rest of us have been made quite clear, Hamilton. I believe that if given the option, you'll ditch Rico or me at the first sign of trouble. To you, we're nothing more than in your way, things that Talion doesn't need. So if you have the option, you'll abandon us and protect only Talion. That is not the right setup for any sort of functional team. In fact, I'm wary about even allowing my mother to go with you, as I don't think your feelings for her would be much different. Hamilton, Mesotora said, looking over to him. Let me guess, you've been being yourself, haven't you? Haven't I told you to work on being more friendly? That's easy for you to say, Mesotora. This whole nice thing just comes easier to you. You just so happen to believe in this equality. I, however, am of a different state of mind. There are such a thing as lesser beings. It would be foolish to think otherwise. And there it is, Mesotora replied, staring down at the floor and shaking his head. And your personality has once again caused problems. So now we have to figure out how to deal with that. So, how about this alignment? Salus, you are a man of honor who will happily protect anyone that you are charged with protecting. You don't particularly look down on anyone. And Hamilton's assistant is a mid-range demon, not a soft spot by any means. She's even started to pick up on magic, if Hamilton's words are correct. So how about this? Instead of the arrangement that you suggested, we divide up a bit more odd-sidedly, but with much the same effect in the end. I go with Hamilton and his new companion, who he seems to be on very good terms with, surprisingly. That's more shocking than anything, really. I've never really known Hamilton to be on good terms with anyone. That's not true. I'm on good terms with you, aren't I? Yeah, Hamilton, but I'm a top-ranked demon. Someone that you can't look down on. She's not even in the same league, which just makes the whole thing curious. Regardless, you're unlikely to leave me or your companion behind. I may be a soft spot, but you're strong enough to cover it. And she's not exactly weak. On the other side, we'll have a larger group, consisting of Salus, the 2 human casters, and the 2 children. That's way too drastic a difference in group size. Mesotora will be too obvious. Not really. Remember, Salus, you are a master of illusion. Whatever group that you're in has an obvious advantage in stealth. You'll be able to change your appearance regularly, even mask it, becoming invisible. Or have you somehow lost that ability? No, I can of course still do it, Mesotora, Salus replied. Well, then that means you have an advantage in stealth. You'll be harder to track. And, being along with Hamilton, our group will have advantages all its own. So, we'll divide the groups as such. Talion and his earthbound family, and myself along with Hamilton and his assistant. These will be the groups. Tomorrow at dawn, we set out. I'm hoping that I'll begin to recover my powers. If I show signs of quick improvement, then we may be able to change things, set out as a full group. But honestly, I don't know how these wounds are going to respond. I heal from normal injuries quickly, but these injuries are anything but. For now, we have to leave it in the hands of fate. So, everyone, pack what you need. Prepare yourselves however you see fit. Tomorrow morning, we set out for the bestial realm.